It's time now for This Week in Rock and Roll History, brought to you by Tom Tayback. Take a moment to stroll with us down memory lane to the good old days, those rock and roll gold days.
Hi, everybody. Tom Tayback here. Happy to be your tour guide going back to the days of soda shops and sock hops in the gym. Let's begin with some Elvis history. This week in 1954, he performed on probably the smallest stage of his career, the back of a flatbed truck outside a Memphis drugstore for its grand opening. At the time, Elvis was still a member of the Blue Moon Boys trio with Bill Black and Scotty Moore. The same week, a couple of years later, it's 1956, and Billboard magazine calls Elvis the most controversial performer since Liberace. The article also notes that Ed Sullivan, who once said he would never have Elvis on his show, has just signed him for 3 appearances. More Elvis. This week in 1958, Hard-Headed Woman hits number 1. At the time, Elvis was going through basic training in the Army. Let's jump to 1960. Roy Orbison climbs into the top 5 for the first time with Only the Lonely, a song both the Everly Brothers and Elvis turned down. 15-year-old Brenda Lee has the number 1 song with I'm Sorry, a tune that was recorded in the last 10 minutes of a session and intended to be nothing more than the B-side for That's All You Gotta Do, which also landed in the top 10, by the way, hit number 6. A double hit 45 for Brenda Lee. 1961, following his success as a songwriter, he wrote Rubber Ball for Bobby Vee and Hello Mary Lou for Rick Nelson. Gene Pitney makes his first appearance on American Bandstand, performing his own song, Every Breath I Take. Checking out this week in 1963, after just 2 weeks of release, Jan and Dean are sitting at the top of the charts with Surf City. It was actually recorded in the garage under their Bel Air apartment. And Leslie Gore releases Judy's Turn to Cry, her answer and follow-up to It's My Party. 1964, the Four Seasons hit number 1 for the 4th time with Rag Doll. Co-writer Bob Gaudio got his inspiration from a young girl in tattered clothes who cleaned his windshield at a stoplight in L.A. And the Supremes released Where Did Our Love Go, which would end up being their first number 1 hit. 1966, Bobby Fuller, still riding high on the success of I Fought the Law, was found dead in his car in Hollywood. It was ruled a suicide, but evidence suggested foul play, like gasoline on his clothes and in his lungs. Bobby Fuller was only 22 years old. Also, Johnny Rivers begins recording Poor Side of Town, which will become his only number 1 hit. And one more item from 1966, Sunny by Bobby Hebb enters the charts and it will top out at number 2. 1967, Jimi Hendrix was fired as the opening act for the Monkees' U.S. tour. Kids who came to hear the Monkees didn't like the Hendrix style and he was being shouted off the stage. And lastly, this week in 1968, the Beatles film Yellow Submarine debuts in theaters. Did you know the voices in the film were actually actors and not the Beatles themselves? Baby, that's rock and roll.
If this is your kind of music, you'll love my Rock and Roll Showcase, featuring trivia and stories about the rock and roll stars along with their charted hit singles at Podomatic.com or on YouTube. Podomatic.com or YouTube. Just search Tom Tayback. That's Tayback. Rock and roll is here to stay, baby.